So last week you did the cat, and that cat is cat one. You are to do a project, but because of time, I see it do not happen. So you just do what is called cat two towards the last week. That is from 20th there up to 27th, because I know you are learning ends at is it 27th? Yes, so that you can do your cat two, just to prepare for your exam. So today I would like to look at some few things. That is the OOP principles. So we looked at one called inheritance, and we implemented some of them. Secondly, I want to note that people are safe, and you are not subjected to political life and the Saba stories. Um, keep safe. Focus to your life. Live about people's life. Um, I want us to go just through what is called abstraction, inheritance, data hiding, and finish up with this thing, so that maybe next time we just look at some other few other things that are of small importance to us as far as object oriented programming is concerned. I believe that you are absorbing these concepts very easily without struggles, because if you struggle, then the best is not the best. Mm. Why is my misbehaving? Okay, I believe that my screen is showing there. I believe my screen is showing. Let's look at abstraction. What is abstraction? So in the last phase, we looked at inheritance. So we have abstraction, encapsulation, interface, overriding, and polymorphism. We are going to finish that today. We'll code less and then you complete. Now let's look at abstraction. You looked at the inheritance, types of inheritance, um, types of relations in inheritance, the difference of using key, super keywords, differential members, and invoking super constructors. All of that within the inheritance, you are able to implement that. Now, I want us to look at abstraction today, which is hiding implementation details while exposing only what matters. Um, the concept of abstraction in object oriented programming. We're going to look at abstract classes, declaration, and rules. We're going to look at abstract methods, signatures without the body. We're also going to look at inheriting and implementing abstract classes. Which is very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very important. So maybe you tell me, what is abstraction in your own understanding? What is abstraction in your own understanding?
Hiding of data.
Hiding of data. Uh-huh. Any other person with a different idea or thoughts? So simply, abstraction is when, for instance, I give you a scenario. You send an email. So when you send an email, you only type the content in the body section. You enter the addresses to the persons that you are sending the information to, and you click the send button. So what you are just interested is to have the header, the subject, and the body, and then do some other small decoration there by adding a footer or anything else. Um, but the protocol of the SMTP server, because you're using the MTP, SMTP, or POP3 or POP protocols and server ports like 5693 and so on, to be able to ensure that the messages are being sent, and secondly that the files using the FTP protocols, that the files can be attached and they can be shareable. So all these functionalities with the server end and all the other sections, you are not aware, or you are not even interested to know. What you are just interested on is the message should be sent. The message should be sent. Once you see that message sent, you are very happy. The rest, you are not interested to know what happens at the background, the processes, the configurations, and all those things, which is very, very critical to understand and to have a knowledge about. Okay. Now, abstract class rules. What are the rules that must be adhered to for abstraction? We are talking about declaration. They are declared with the abstract keyword before the class. So you must use the abstract word before the class. You can see on this other end here that public abstract class employee. So the abstract appears there before the class name called employee. Next is we say that may or may not contain abstract methods. So you might work with it without containing the abstract method. So from this code here, I've shown you that there is no abstract method. So there's no body. But then you move directly to the public abstract at double and then compute the payment for that employee. Then if a class has a greater than one abstract method, then there must be an abstract. The other rule is that it cannot be instantiated, or no new abstract class can be created after the other. The other rule is that it must be inherited. Subclass must implement an abstract method. And the last one is that subclasses can itself be abstract if it skips some implementations. If it skips some implementation. For instance, I've given you something down there. Employee initiated by E or initialized equals to the new employee. And inside there, because you've left it blank, you'll always get an error because the abstract is missing. You need to be able to input it. So the error employees and abstract cannot be instantiated. So you don't instantiate an employee like that. You'll always get an error pop up. Now, if you try to write that code, what do you get from that?
Excuse.
Yes, yes.
Kindly reshare your screen.
Oh, my screen is not shared.
I think it's frozen.
To all or to some? Yeah, I can see it's visible. Deborah, are you seeing my screen? Oh, yes. No, it's just for a few. Blame your internet. Mine is okay. Your internet is like that one of Penaldo. So do something with it. Mine is that one of Messi. It is very, very strong. Or Yamin Yamal, a small boy of 18 years, is disturbing an old man with 41 years. Hmm? in the pitch, producing very high skills. Know when to exit the game as human beings. You will not be younger every day. And right now, you have to shine in your prime age so that you don't start competing with the old men, with the young men during the old stage that you are dancing and siaka siaka things. Do it now, but with decorum, so that you don't also waste your life. You become a useless fella in the future. They are called consumable tools. Don't be a consumable tool. So, are you seeing now my screen there?
Yes.
Okay. Who has tried to write that code? Are you getting an error? Or let's just look at the second thing: inheriting and using an abstract class. How do you inherit and how do you use an abstract class? So, I want you to write that code as an implementation to that. Okay, we can be able to do that. I'm losing something. Maybe you can create that one. Small. Remember to create a package called abstraction, so that you can lay down your code in a very good order. You seem not to know whether you have an error or not. There's something that should give you as a result. What do you have as the result there? Hmm? What have you got? What have you got? What have you got? Right. Let's look at that abstraction because I'm ending that. I'm completing with that abstraction right now. So we want to see how abstraction can be implemented or can be inherited and also using an abstract class. So here we are going to have a class called employee and then be able to extend the class called uh, salary with the main or superclass called employee. From there, then the salary belongs to an employee. So the employee is the sole creator. That's why we call them a super. Then the salary will belong to each employee. So the salary inherits all the three fields that the employee has. That is the employee string name, address, and possibly the salary amount that the employee is going to get. So with that, then you have to have some super constructors here called the name and parameterized constructors, which is the name, address, number. And so the number here addresses the salary because we want to give the salary in double form or a double type of or an integer. So you can decide, but salaries are always with some sense at the end of it, so it can only be quantified as a double data type. Um, Salaries must be implemented using the abstract method or itself being declared as an abstract. And then we expect to see the output talking about constructing an employee, mailing the employee with the value that is supposed to get, and also mailing another employee with the amount that they are supposed to get. So that is what is to be looked at for us to see how abstraction is implemented. Also within that space, I want us to see how we can be able to implement the same using various things. Um, we say that the process of hiding the implementation details from the users so that only the functionalities will be provided to the user is what is called an abstraction. So can we get here? Then we can be able to come to this area here. Let me use the netpin section. So we are here and I want us to talk about abstraction. So this was inheritance. So we want within the OOP principle, we're also going to create another one called abstraction. So you can just right click here, create a new package, and I'm going to have it as abstraction. Abstraction. So you have to create a new package here called abstraction, and inside this abstraction I'm going to create a major thing is the abstraction class, where you can create an abstract class and then use the abstract keyword before the class keyword in the class declaration, so that we can be able to do that. So that is I shall just have here Java class here and call it employee. Employee, and then have it there available. So inside here, let us look for that abstraction. Um, OP principles. Now we have abstraction and the class called employee. So I'm going to remove all this. And then here I'm going to say that creating an abstract class using abstract keywords before the class keyword. Before the class keyword in the class declaration. The class declaration. So that is what we are going to do here. So you see already we have just to, when doing that, then you'll have to introduce what is called an abstract before the class employee, so that now you can now be able to have all that. So here we are going to declaration of variables. Declaration of variables. So we're going to have some elements here. We want the name of the employee. Um, then we need the address of the employee. That is the string, the address. And then we need something like the number, the number, like the phone number, and so on. So after that, now we can now have here uh, the constructors declaration here. That is with all the employees name address and the number. And then we need to give this by printing out um, the details about the constructor. By now we can say the system.outprint. Then we print out the constructor constructing an employee. So you are constructing an employee for certain tasks. So we use the this keywords to be able to assign this, because we use this as a constructor to point to the variables that we had declared up there. So that is very, very important. So after all this now, we can be able now to have a class here to compute the details of this employee. That is so we want to check to print out the details of the employee, and also to compute the salary. So here is to compute the pay and perform the mail checking. To compute the payment and the mail check of the employee. So we are going to do this inside here. For that case, then we are going to do a public double, and then we are going to compute the payment for this employee. So we want to compute the amount the employee compute pay for the employee class, and then return the amount in two decimal value in one decimal point. At the same time, we are going also to check their email. So we can check the email of the employee, so that we can be able to see whom are we mailing. We are sending the email to who. So we have to populate the name and the address, so that in the header point of the email, we want to get the where are we sending the email to. So to who. So you fetch the address, and then we fetch the name of the employee. At the same time, also we want to populate the ability to get their details, so that we can return the name, the address, and the number. So we can also do here something called public string, so that we can print this into the keyboard word section and fetch it. So that is print to string, and we are going to get to return the name, add the address, and add the number, so that all of them can be populated from that email section, or from the details that we had declared. So we also have to get the name, so that it can be printed out for all of it. We also want to get the address of the employee, and we can as well as get the number of the employee, so that all of them are available and printed out with no issue. So after that, now we can now have a class here to set the address. Can now have a class here to set the address. And even before getting that and returning that number, we still need to do something here with the concerning the address, because once you get the address, we also need to assign or to set the address so that it only displays the new address that the user is giving, because sometimes you have several users and you want to input several of them. So we can be able to do that here by setting the address into string and then print it out. So that is what we can be able to do there within that section. So you need to be able to be systematic so that you can easily get this done uh, in the correct manner. Now, after getting the number, we can now be able now to have to see that i- what do you observe here is that you observe that except abstract methods, the employee class is same as normal class in Java, and also that the class is now an abstract, but it still has three fields, that is the seven methods and the one constructor. Now, we say that one of the rules in abstract is that it must be inherited. This one here, that it cannot be instantiated. No new abstract class should be used there. So that means that you can try to instantiate the employee class in a different way that we could be able to choose. So can we be able to create another class here? Because for this one, if you try to run this, what does it give us? Does not have the main class here because we have not added it. Public main, be able to print it out. So it's working as an abstract on the other end. So we don't need to run it. But can we be able to implement uh, now to try to instantiate a variable here and see if it can be able to give us something? And if it fails, then we shall now have to do another class of inheriting the abstract class, so that now we can be able to see if it is going to work completely. All right. Now, let's try to instantiate the employee class in a different way here. So leave this one separate like that. It's already okay. So you just have to save it. Come here, and then inside the same abstraction, I want you to create here a Java class, and then I want you to call it as an abstract demo class, or an abstract class, to use as an instantiate the employee. So this one is an instantiation for the class employee here, which we have here. So an abstract demo to be able to use to instantiate this. So when we come back here, I have to look for this file and now be able to do this. So what I want to do here is to try instance instantiating the abstract class using the new operator, that is using instantiate the employee. So I just want to instantiate the employee class. The employee class here using the new operator and see what happens. So that's what I want to do here. Now, what if we instantiate here now having our main class, because we have not used the main class inside here. Remember that. So we have to instantiate this one here to be able to see what happens in this area here, in this area here. Can be able to instantiate that by having the public static main. Sorry. So we want to instantiate this and be able to see what happens here. Although we know that mostly creating an object of the class here, and then I want also to show you that following yes, I want to show you that this will show you, or following way, let me just write it, that the following way is not allowed and would raise something that is compilation error, because we say that instantiating the instantiating the new might cause can cause an error. Instantiating, like for if we do a declaration or instantiating an employee here, remember what we said in this line here, that employee initialized by instantiated by E, that you have to start with the new employee. We say that it can give you an error, and because the abstract cannot be instantiated. So let us see if that is the truth, and if it can be able to give us an error. So I want us just to have here that employee E equals to new, let's say, employee, and for this employee we want to put something inside here for this employee, so that we declare any client or any customer that we want, and the street and the address that is available for that particular user. You can maybe use John Due, or we can use let me use our good friend, our useless good friend called Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo. Then we assign him 123 Main Street, and the postal address to be 1 or 45. And then we want to print out his value. So we don't need even to compute his salary here. Should we have to print out his salary in this area? We just need to use the demo class. Let me just where does this one end? Oh, here. Yeah. So within this, we have instantiated this value here, employee E, and then we want to say that print out uh, something here. That is, we want to print out the call for his email, so that after picking all the address from that area, we say that we have to copy the email. We have to copy the email here and then be able to check. So let us call the mail check. I have to call the mail check using the employee reference. Reference. So that's what we like to do here. And after that, then we have to check the email and assign that to the email class that is available here for this guy. So this one came like that. So I can move this one from here. Then put something. So we opened this one here. I want to end it here. So we have this one ended there, this one ended there. Then system out. What did I do here? Mm, Separating the employee that yeah, have to give something here. That should be okay. Employee, do I have employee one? New employee. Okay, the employee class is on the other side. So we have not called it on this other side. That's why. So when it is just like this, that's when we say that it can bring the compilation error, because you can't instantiate this without declaring it inside here. So when we have it in this manner and then we try to run it, already you can see there that it's not able to find. It cannot. So you see there, employee is an abstract. It cannot be instantiated. Why? Because when you look at the main class here for the employee, what was it? What did we declare it? We declared it as an abstract class employee. So when we instantiate here, it will always throw an error. But if we remove an abstract here and then we leave that code, for instance, like that, and then have the instantiation here, it will obviously work. So you see it has worked with no error. Are you seeing that? Hello? Are we there? Or you are not seeing those changes? I'm saying here it was an abstract class. But right now, if we leave it as an abstract and it is public because it can be accessed here, you see there's no error. The error goes. So even if we run this, then you'll be able to get the results. So it's trying to check where that, and you can see here it has brought uh, the results there, that it's constructing an employee, then calling the mail check using the employee reference, and then it's able to mail a check to Cristiano Ronaldo at the street 123 Main Street. See that? So even if we change here to 1, it will still give us the results. But right now it is able to do that in instant instantiating. Yeah, that is the correct thing. Right now, if we return here an abstract as an abstract class, the code here is okay. But when we return here, then it's going to give us an error immediately. Now you have seen the error has been returned. So it's showing you that the employee is an abstract and it cannot be instantiated within that. So right now, even if you compile, it will always give you what we expect it to have, a compilation error there. And that's why we said here that an employee cannot be instantiated as per rule number 4. It cannot be instantiated, no new abstract class. So that is what we are saying in checking on that. And you have seen how you can be able to correct it. So an employee is an abstract and it cannot be instantiated. That is the Java error something number. You see there, abstraction. Employee is an abstract and it cannot be instantiated. When you look at that, this error here, I don't know whether you are able to see that here. In that line, and now you have the errors when it comes to compilation. And I've said for you to correct that, it's simple. You just come here and then you can be able to make the employee to be just a class but not as an abstract. And once you do that and then you come back here, then the error will go. And then when you rerun the code, let's say that you run the code here, then you get the results. So the error goes. So that is how that can be can be rectified. So let us look at now the other thing within that abstract. Now, inheriting the abstract class. For you also to solve that error, you can inherit the properties of the employee class, just like the concrete class in the that you can be able to have. So for us to do that, we can have what's called inheriting the abstract class, and then be able to see if we are able to get the results as needed. So can we have an example on how to inherit this? So already you have seen, once we have corrected that, you are able to see the results being um, uh, worked on. So let's write here a class now to inherit that the employee something. So let us have what is called a class called salary. Can we create a class called salary so that we can inherit the the functionalities from this employee to populate there? Let's have a class salary so that we can do what is called inheriting the abstract class, the abstract class employee. So that's what we are going to do here. So you have the class salary. If I open here, so I want it to inherit the abstract class employee. So that means that we shall first of all have to change that to have the public class salary to extend the employee, so that now we can now be able to have something better on that area. So declaring variables here. Let me check if you are available. Oh, I thought I'm speaking to myself. Now I see you are there. Now, can we be able to show that we can inherit the properties of the employee class uh, using the inheritance, and then be able to get all this done, and be able to compute the salary of this of the employees? So we are going to say, here we want to declare the properties of the employee. Sorry, the property here, which is because we want to give out the salaries. So can we have keep them private, because this is not the annual salary for the employee? We want to keep it secret. And now, using the constructor, we can be able to filter all the properties from the class employee here. So remember, we had this, the employee address, number, and everything. So we want to access this. That's why the constructor here is public. That means that it can be accessed here. So that's why we have called them there. And then we want also to have the mail to compute the pay of the employee. Also to check the emails, to check the email, get the salaries, get the salaries, uh, and we also want to compute the pay for the employee. So that is what we want that to be done here. So for that case, then we can easily do that within a short period of time. So number one, first we want to we want to create our to check the mail first and validate whether the email is what we had requested from the employee earlier. So let me just have this first. Yes. So we want to check the email that if the email is within the mail check of the salary class, and then also to check to obtain the name of the person who is receiving the email and the salary. So that one being in order, now we can be able to create another public class here now to get the salary and also to compute the salaries as well as to set the salary for this employee. Now we are setting the salaries for how long, and that must be within 52 days within, because we are talking about annual. But if you want to do it monthly pay computation, then you can do it within 12 months so that you can be able to obtain the salary. So we want to have here public double to get our to get our salary being done. Then we return the salary there. Then we also wish to have to set the salary of our employee so that it can be printed out or displayed or be assigned. Then we can, as well as, and when dealing with this salary of setting the salary, we want to set this salary so that it meets a certain condition, right? So that it meets a certain condition. So for that case, then yes, we are going to give the salary there, but then we have to set a condition here so that it should follow that condition. So for us to set a condition for this salary, we have to set a condition for how many months that a value or the salary must be. What did we do here? Uh, when we checked in the employee here, we had set the value that the salary should be returned in this format 0.0. So it must have some double format with a cent value inside it. So that's the condition that we have to set here. So we can say that if this new salary is greater than 0. If it is greater than that, then it should be able to give us the results that the salaries should not be negative. Okay, the salary should not be negative, so that our salary is always positive in nature. So can we have that, and then we have such the results there are quite good. So you can have our salary here, that if the new salary is greater than 0.00, that one we are checking the value, that the salary should not be zero, sorry, should not be negative, so it should be starting from zero. So your balance in your account is either zero or it is greater than zero, but it is not negative. If it is negative, it means that you are in CRB or you have a debt to pay. So we have to check that so that we can be able to balance that account. So we can be able to do here now to compute now the salary of this employee. Now we have now to compute that. We assume that now your payments are being done weekly. So how many weeks are there in 1 year? Is 52. If you want to make it in monthly, then you can put here divide by 12 for you to have who is this? Yes, who is this? Uh-huh. Salama sana. Ni nani? Okay. Yes, yes, yes. So if it is for the 12 months, then you can do divide by 12. So you can get the salary, then you divide it by 12. And then you can be able to get the salary in 12 months. So for now, we want to compute it assuming that this person is being paid weekly. So that's why we are dividing it by 52 weeks to be able to obtain the results there. So already we have extended the class salary to our abstract class, which is employee. And our abstract class is there, which we had created earlier here. So it's an abstract class employee here. So we are able now to work with it and be able to see if this can be can be inherited. So you cannot instantiate an employee class, but you can instantiate the salary class. Now, instead of instantiating the employee class the way we did here in the abstract demo, here, this line, we can instantiate the salary class, which we have now created here, which inherits the employee what? Which inherits the employee abstract class. That's what we mean. So instead now of using that employee on the other side, we are going to instantiate a salary inside the abstract demo class. And I want you to note that change. So that now we maintain our abstract demo class and we are going, because the earlier one has an error as you saw it. So we want to inherit or instantiate the salary class there, which has already inherited the employee functionalities instead of any other thing, and then be able to see what will be the results. So for us to do that, I want you to go back to your abstract, the abstract. I want you to go to the abstract demo class, and now we do something here. So we are going to instantiate some classes here. So let us instantiate the salary class with our details, and then call the emails to be sent referencing to the salary. details that needs to be checked. And at the same time, now in this employee class, we don't need to have it as it is here, because we say that you cannot instantiate a class with we cannot instantiate an abstract class. So what should we be able to do is that we should be able to instantiate here the same class, but we are going to instantiate our class that is salary instead of the employee, and that is what we can be able to have it within that end. So what amount are we going to assign to a different individual? So let's say the salary for Cristiano is maybe um, another amount. Let's say here we are giving here Lamin Yamal, and we give him an address of 823 Main Street, Spain. Spain. Main Street, Spain. Let's say that just Main Street, Spain, and we are assigning it uh, an address and some amount. So we want to assign some amount to this uh, guy. So what is the street? So the street we can give him 820. That then we can say that upstream. Let's say 36. Sorry, the number is maybe 23 street, and the salary is going to be something like let us give the salary to be something different, or maybe 35,000 or 3,000, 3 million, or that that kind of a value that can make that can, or maybe just at 600, that is US dollars, and we are assigning some two decimal values. And then we come to Cristiano Ronaldo. We assign him some money here that is in 123 Main Street, number 45. Uh, that was his address here. If we look at what we had assigned him under employee here, the street, yeah, we can still assign it to be 45. And the salary amount, we can say maybe it is maybe 45,000, 45,000 in that area, or something less than that. Can just say maybe 24,000, 24,000. And then we are calling the email for both for both uh, for both Lamin Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo. So using all those instantiation, now here we are now instantiating instance of an abstract that cannot be created directly. So that is what we are now doing that. And here we are now instantiating the abstract class of the employee with that. So that is what we are doing there, so that you know very well what we are doing in that line. So that is what we have done, and the code is now clean. You can assign that, then print out the email, and also print out the email for both of them, Lamine Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo, so that all of them can be able to get the emails. Now, once it is like this, now we can now be able to run this without any errors. So this one is okay. You can see now there's no error on the abstract demo because we have now instantiated this abstract class called employee, which is an abstract class inside now with the salary class for us now to have it working perfectly. Now, right now, if we come back here now to abstract class and now be able to run it, now you'll be able now to get the results there. That constructing the employee, an employee, calling the mail since using the salary references, and we did the mail check of salary class. And now it is able to mail Lamine Yamal with a salary of that 6,000. At the same time, it's able to mail Cristiano Ronaldo with his salary of 24,000 there. So that is what you now have as the final results. That's when we say that now can be able to instantiate using the inheritance section. So, and that makes the end of abstraction. So if you have missed something there, you need to fix it so that you have everything done correctly. So you have your employee, you have your abstract demo, and then you have your salary. All of them working perfectly in that area. Now let's look at the other item.
Excuse sir.
Yes,
Is it possible you send us the code on abstract demo kindly?
the abstract. You have not modified it. You need to fix that on the other end so that it can be able to work with your area there. So your package might be different. I don't know, but you pick what works for you there to be perfectly working. Yeah, and now having that finished that and everything is working well, I want us now to work on to look at another item here, another principle called encapsulation. And this code you have already implemented. So this one is also a short way of implementing that. You can be able to look at that. Let's look at the encapsulation. So what is encapsulation? We normally mean that encapsulation is wrapping. is simply wrapping data and methods together. That is encapsulation. We normally also call it as data hiding. So, in simple terms, encapsulation in Java is a mechanism of wrapping the data or variables and code acting on the data or methods together as a single unit. So mostly when you are dealing with encapsulation, the variables of a class will always be hidden from other classes, and it can be accessed only through the methods of their current classes. It can only be accessed through the methods of their current classes. So when you make these variables or other functionalities being hidden from other classes, but then fully accessible through the methods of their current classes, then we call it data hiding. We call it data hiding. And therefore, for us to achieve encapsulation, there are two main things that can be done or that needs to be done. Either we declare the variables of a class as a private, or we provide the public setter and getter methods to modify and view the variables values. So here we are talking about the concepts of encapsulation and data hiding, declaring these variables private or public, getter and setter methods, and then complete the code examples and benefits. So that's what we say, that a mechanism of wrapping data variables and the code together as a single unit is what is called encapsulation. So here we say that variables are hidden from other classes and they are accessed only through the public methods. See that? So that through the public methods, so that's what we call it as data hiding. So how do you achieve encapsulation? We have said, number one, declare all the variables of the class as private. Number two, you can provide public setter methods to set right variable values. Or number three, you can provide the public getter methods to get read variables values. And that is much important. So what are the benefits of using encapsulation? That is very important. What are the benefits of using encapsulation? It's very important for you to note that. Number one is that fields can be made read only or write only by omitting the getter or setter. The other thing is that the class has total control over what is stored in its fields because it has the ability to access it. And then it promotes the loose coupling. That is, internal changes don't affect the external code, but it only affects the internal functionalities of that. So we can be able to implement this using encapsulation function and then be able to see how this can be done. Using the set and get function, you can be able to get it done. Before we look at the polymorphism. Now, the code here is available, which you can be able to write it. So before we look at the interface, we can be able to write this encapsulation to implement that as we end with that. So that is just the major thing that you need to know about encapsulation. So let us come here to the principles and then be able to create another package here. So I'm going to create another package here. I'm just going to create another package here. And I'm going to remove all these object-oriented principles dot. Now I'll put the encapsulation, 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 like that. Then click finish. So inside the encapsulation, you are going to create a file called encapsulation test. And we have here a class. So what did I call here is encap test. So we can be able to have here encap test, encap, encap, encap test, encapsulation test, then finish. So here this is code to show encapsulation. So let me come here, and then I can be able to close all this. Let's come to encapsulation here, encaps. So here we can say the code to implement encapsulation. Just that. So I can just do this. Yeah, like that, so that you are aware of that. So that's what we are going to do here. So we are just demonstrating how encapsulation is happening. So we have to declare some variables here. We have to declare some variables here. So we have to declare some variables here with the string names. So we can say private string, and then we give it a name. That is one. Then we have the string ID number. Also keep it private. ID number of the student, or ID number. So we can say that, and also we can have a private for example, the age of the employee. So we say that an employee has got the following elements. That is the name, ID number, or the student. The student has got this. So this one is now a demo with the student, a simple class to demonstrate the use of encapsulation. So here we are just doing that for the student. Let's say that these are the properties of a student. Properties of a student. student. So after that, now we can now be able to write the getter class to be able to get the name, the age, and the ID, the name, the ID number, and the age of the student, and return the values. So that's how we can be able to perform that. Then we can be able now to have a public class here to get the age. So we are going to say public int get age of the student. So we can get the name and return the name. So we have got the age so that we can return the age. We can have here another class to return the ID. So we can return the ID of that student. And also we can set the age. We can set the age because we said we have two classes, get and set. So we can set the name, we can set the age. At the same time, we can set the ID number. So let us set the name. The other one is to set the age. And then the last one, we can be able to set the ID number of that student. And that gives the final area of such functionalities. Now that you have already given the getter and the setter, so these are the getter, and now here I can be able to say the setter methods for all the name, the age, and the ID number for you. So this one was to the getter method for for the name and all that, for the name, the age, and the ID number of the student. So this one will receive. And mostly you do this especially when you're dealing with database. Now when you're dealing with database and you want to filter all the fields directly from the database, the strings as they are, then normally you have to do this. So that you use the get to obtain from there, and you get to string, that is now getting it directly from the database and then converting it into the element that you want it to be. So just code it up to where we are there. Maybe you can start from there, reach there, then we can be able to complete. Let me give you some 2 minutes. Is it? Anita, have you finished? All right. So if you have finished with this, remember that we don't have the main method here. So we have to create another class to inherit this and then be able to access. We call them now getters and setters because we have to access now these setters and getters to be able now to use it to display what we want. Now for us to do that, we have to create another class file inside here, encapsulation. So we are going to create another class here, and we are going to call it as run encap. run encap so that we can run that encapsulation uh, class. Run encap. So I've written it this way so that we can use it to, because we are saying that the public set and get methods are the access points of the instance variables of the encap test. Therefore, the methods are always referred to as getters and setters. So for us to run any of these files, then any class that wants to access these variables must always access them through the getters and the setter methods for it to be able to run. So that is very, very important for us to do. So for us to show this, then we have to access these variables or to access this encap test class using these getters and setters for us to be able to have something there. So once you have created that, you have to finish so that now we can use this to access those. So you can say here accessing getters and setters methods from the encap test class. So just click there, we come back here, then go to run encap test. So here we have now to access these files there and then assign some values. So we are going to have a public static void main here. Now with the string. So we have to access or to set the values to the properties of the student using the setter functions. And for us to do that, then we have to call what was the name of our class here, which was the encap. Now we are going to initialize this using the simple class there. So encap test that we had, we can be able to set the name. You can set the name here and then assign so because we have initialized here our encap test here to be available here and to be accessible here, so we are going to assign the name of our student here using what is the name of the student. Let's say our student is James Njoroge, so you can say here is maybe Lamine Yamal is our student, so he's a very good child. Then we are also going to set uh, the age of Lamine Yamal as 18, so he's 18 years old. And also we are going to assign or to set the ID number using the set. So where is that set? Because we had it here, the setter. So we have the set ID we have the set age, and we have the set name. Okay, so that's what we are calling here. Now we are setting the ID to Lamine Yamal as maybe SP for Spain, maybe as 10 65 20 67. So that is the the ID of Lamine Yamal when we assign it. So we are not putting this one into a string because it was not a string, because when you look at the ID number here, what data type was it? It was a string type, while this one is an integer. So we don't put integers inside double quotes. Also, the name here is a string. That's why you see we are putting anything that is a string inside the double quotes, like that. So we have set the name, we have set the age, and we have set the ID number. So the other thing that we want to do here is that now we want to get the values of the properties of the student using the getter. So for us to do that now, we can be able to print out the values for all the age, the name, and also we are going to print out the ID number of Lamine Yamal. So we are calling that, and then we are calling what we have set here, so that it displays for us what has been assigned inside here. So you can see what we have assigned here is what is going to be printed out here using this uh, call, the getter. So we are using the get name, get this, and get this, which we had already done here using the getters here. Get name, get age, and get ID number method. So that's what we are now using these ones to call. So because we had already said here return the age, this one, when we call this get name, it will return the name. When we call the get age, it will return the age. And when we call the get ID number, then it will return the ID number. And now, where are these? These ones have been set using the setters. And within that, we have already set the values for them using this accessible value. So here we can be able just to call this one here as that we are creating an object of encapsulate class to access its method in that area. So I can do this and then put this one on top, so that you don't strain to understand the code flow, like that. So that is the file. So once this file is now like this, we are able now to just come here, and now that is the code the way it is. So this is just the main thing. That we are creating an object of the encap test class to access this method. So we say the encap test encap. So we have initialized it with the encap. Yeah. And now we have instantiated it, and it picks it. So we have assigned the child, the student name, the student age, and the student ID. And then we have printed out using now the getters for it to work. So you can do this also with strings and values from the database, and you'll always get that done. So let's run this and see what is the results. So we go to the encap to call all these uh, methods that were there in the encap test. So we can be able to run this, and then you are able to get the results correctly. The student name is Lamine Yamal, and the student age is 18, and the student ID number is that. Now, in cases where you don't want to assign a value, then you can just call them. And mostly this one you can use just get the number, or to string. You can call this one to string, this one also to string, this one also to string, if you are fetching them from where? From the database. And you put a link to the database area so that the values can be obtained or fetched directly from the database without you struggling. So that is how you can be able to implement encapsulation, and we can be able to look at the other item. You have to keep in mind how to achieve encapsulation and the benefits of encapsulation so that you don't forget that. So I think we can be able to complete that on time. So let us see what else to look at. Let us look at interfaces. Interfaces. Then we end up with polymorphism. Interfaces. Contracts for classes. That means that you have to define the behaviors without implementation. So what is an interface versus what is a class? How do you declare interfaces with the interface keywords? How do you implement the interfaces with the implements keywords? How do you extend interfaces? How do you multiple interface implementation? And how do you perform the tagging interface? So interfaces are concepts. Let's look at the concepts and the declaration of these. So the similar way that you declare the classes, like interfaces can contain any number of a method, just the way the classes are. Uh, Interfaces can be written in a Java file, and you have the name matches the file, and also you can byte the code stored in the class file. Then it can also appear in the packages. But the differences that we have between the interfaces and the classes is that interfaces cannot be instantiated. while a class can be instantiated. The second one is that instances contains no constructors, while classes have constructors. Interfaces, all the methods are implicitly obscured and they are public. Interfaces fields must be static and final. That is the difference with the classes. And also interfaces can be implemented by the class and it cannot be extended. Interfaces can extend multiple interfaces, unlike the classes. They can extend multiple interfaces, unlike the classes. So how do you declare and implement an interface? You can see down here that we have an interface called an animal, and we declare using the public void eat and travel, that an animal can eat and it can travel, because those are the behaviors of an animal. Now, an animal can be a mammal and it can be implemented also as an animal. So it's both an animal and a mammal. So that's why we say it implements. Then you can have the functionalities of a mammal being able to eat and being able to travel, and then you can be able to have the final output results for that. Now, how do you extend an interface, or how do you also have multiple implementation of such? So an interface can be extended with other interfaces using a word called extends, just like in classes. So we say that interface sports. So you set the sports to be a home team or a visiting team, and then you are using the interface called football to extend the super class called sports, and then give the values for the home team scores and also the team. So you can be able to now relate all the types of sports inside the class sports using an interface. So what are the other types of sports that exist? So first we have football, we have hockey, we have netball, we have NBA, we have all that. So you can easily extend that using the interfaces. So as you do the extension of the interfaces, you need to keep in mind the key rules. Number one is that a class can implement more than one interface. Number two is that a class can extend only one class. And number three is that an interface can extend multiple interfaces. And lastly, we can have that if a class doesn't implement all the methods, it must be an abstract. So those are the major things that we have to you have to note in mind. How do you tag the interfaces? So we only tag interfaces that don't have methods. And this can be done in two purposes. One, by creating a common parent, and two, by adding a data type to a class. And when you are doing the adding the data type to a class, that means that you have to implement it using polymorphism. But when you are creating the common parent, then what you are just using is an API. So when you use APIs to integrate the functionality of maybe payments and so on, then that is done there. We have another thing called method overriding. which we can be able to look at it, redefining inheritance behavior in a subclass. So let's look at what is overriding. Overriding means when a subclass inherits a method from its superclass and then it redefines it with its own implementation. That's when we call that there is overriding in that coding. The subclass method must have the same name and arguments when you're dealing with overriding. So you can have a class animal which can move, but then we have a dog which extends the functionalities of an animal which can also be able to move. So in that case, then we can use that and then run, call the parent called the super. So mostly when you are calling this the main class, we said that you have to use the super keyword. So you can now say super, then concatenate it with the super class. Sorry, the constructor, the method, now to be able now to do what? To access what was to be done. So you can write that simple code to be able to implement such the overriding functions. So the animals can move, but dogs can walk and run. So that's what we can be able to do. So what are the rules for method overriding? You need to note the rules for method overriding. One is that argument listing. It must be exactly the same as the overridden method's argument. The return types must also be the same as the subtype of the return type declared in the superclass. We talk about the access levels. They cannot be more restrictive, so we can use public identifiers, but the subclass cannot be private or protected. So you normally have to use public to allow them to be accessed. A method declared final cannot be overridden. So you avoid to use final if you want it to be overridden. The static method, we say that a method declared static cannot be overridden but can be redeclared inside another class. So constructors cannot be overridden when you're using the overriding things. You talk about exemptions that can throw errors or throw the tests, but they cannot be broader or checked exemption within the overridden methods. Then we have the inheritance, which is a method can only be overridden if it is inherited, meaning that it is inheriting a public from another public class, but not a private. Now let's look at the final thing, which is, but I think we can be able to do this in the next session. So I can end there so that in the next class we can be able to look at the polymorphism and end that the OOP principles. So in the next class we shall look at polymorphism. I want to end there so that we can be able to look at all that you can be able to implement now, and also check our time is almost 2, so we can end there unless there is a question that is coming. If there's no question, then I can be able to end there and then call your attendance. So please be attentive so that I can do your attendance very fast.